contribution to the IT world. These women were leaders, I tell you, in the early foundation of modern programming. I wanted to be like Ruth Kaveke, a mentor, a youth champion, an activist, a youth advocate for empowerment and engagement. I also wanted to be like Wanjau here. I wanted to be like her so bad. I wanted to walk like Wanjau, talk like Wanjau, dress like Wanjau. Problem was that I was a broke student in campus, and my little otonglo. Obwalati o matek ni ekayudi e otonglo. Obwalati o matek ni ekayudi e otonglo. Ashenyiti o matek ni ekayudi e otonglo. Obwalati o matek ni ekayudi. My little otonglo could not afford that specific lifestyle. As young as I was determined to walk into her footsteps. And so, I enrolled to the famous Mount Kenya University to seek my IT degree course. 4 years into it, I was a graduate, tagged with my papers under my armpit. I worked for a job. I looked for a job. I looked for a job. I looked for a job, but I could not find a job. But at least one day, I found a job, only to realize that the job was to look for a job. I was so saddened, with no source of employment, ladies and gentlemen. I could barely afford anything to eat. My meal had been reduced to a mere leftover piece of ugali and salted water. Seated in my polythene house, with questions running through my mind. Kajituliza kwake kasukuwe oyo. Ataki maneno. Anachopata kinamtosha yo. Ataki makata, ataki matata. Naomba Mungu amsaidie. Life had become so hard for a comrade like me. Is it because the IT world is a man's world? Is it because I am too young? Or is it because I am a woman and I'm not supposed to be in this particular sector? Is it because that women are supposed to do hospitality and not IT? I am a woman with aspirations, a woman with dreams. But why? Why should we have more women working in technology? I will tell you why. You see, women give birth to nations. And so, when we empower women, we are indeed empowering the nation. Also, more women working in the technology sector means that we are redefining gender roles. And so, we are going to have, in the workplace, we are going to have a gender balance in the workplace. And so, I would like to give my greatest thank you to the Swahili Port Foundation and the Pwani Innovation Week for giving us this particular platform. So that we can create an environment for women like me to create, educate, innovate, and make a sustainable future for the youth like me. And to this year's theme, sailing beyond borders and empowering the youth towards digital economy for sustainable future. Thank you.
Makofi yake tafadhali. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, DJ. Next, we are going to have a pitch. Because this is Pwani Innovation Week, it's all about giving the young people, the youth, an opportunity to pitch, to discuss what they've been up to in as short time as possible. So in line with the same, I'd like to invite Rafiki Peps. Rafiki Peps is part of the Mombasa Plastic Prize Awards, and they have a very wonderful and innovative idea that they'll be able to share with you in relation to what they're doing regarding plastics in general. So makofi yake tafadhali anaposhuka kuja kutuongelesha.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce Rafiki Peps, and by that, I'll introduce my team, Terry Akech, Mohammed, and me. Imagine of a community in the informal settlement of Mombasa with no access to a proper waste collection and management system. Picture this environment, an informal settlement of Mombasa, where residents have low income and do not have access to a proper waste management and collection system. According to research, 75% of the waste from our informal settlements end up in the ocean due to uncollected waste, and 25% that ends up in our ocean is from the leaks in the waste management systems. At Rafiki Peps, we provide a solution to these informal settlements wherein we champion for segregation of waste at source. Why segregation of waste at source? Segregation of waste at source improves and increases the value of this waste. How does it improve the value? It improves the value by reducing the sorting and the washing cost that recyclers go through. This in turn means that waste, the value of waste is increased, and the residents, like for example the plastic recyclers, we know that for example PET goes for 15 kgs. By sorting, the amount will be increased by 5% according to research. At Rafiki Peps, we established an efficient waste collection management system that is data-driven. As the panelists that focused on artificial intelligence, data is an essential part of our community. And for now, we don't have raw data from the informal settlements, and that is where we Rafiki Peps focus on. We provide the system in this manner. We focus for segregation by providing 3 segregation bags. According to the new policies, you are supposed to be fined 20,000 shillings for not segregating their waste. And most of us are not aware, and that is one of the challenges of waste segregation from the source, due to lack of public awareness. We focus on creating awareness on the informal settlements on the waste segregation. How do we do this? We have door-to-door sensitization programs. We involve the community in the waste management by involving them in the community cleanups, and we also involve the youth and the children in beach cleanups and the community cleanups. All in all, what we are trying to do is curbing the gap that is there in waste segregation. Yeah, we incentivize the community by giving them a dignity pack to make sure that women and children and also men are included. Our dignity pack contains sanitary pads for the women, the bathing soap, toothbrushes, essential sanitary items. Yeah. So for our sustainability part, we have an application that deals with selling recycled plastic products on alternatives to plastic products. You can visit us at www.rafikipeps.co.ke. That is our website, and from there you can get awareness and sensitization on more segregation of your waste from the source. I would like to urge all of us to make sure that the law doesn't catch up with us by getting more knowledge on the segregation from the source.
Wapi makofi yake tafadhali. Believe she has done a great job. Let's appreciate her once again, please. Thank you very much. I'd like to kindly request assistance in relations to the podium just after this. But before I call our first keynote speaker, because now we shall be moving on to our keynote speeches, I'd like to acknowledge a special school that is in our midst today. I think most of the people under Swahili Port Hub normally refer to mentor as, other than being a mentor, a father of very many. And now in particular today we are honored to have Mekatilili Girls High School being with us. Makofi yao tafadhali. These are wonderful young students who are passionate, I believe, equally on matters innovation. And I believe their presence here is beneficial both to them and ourselves as well, because we're able to see the importance of being passionate about what you want and literally going an extra mile to ensure that you get to learn as much as possible in relation to that field. Now, without much further ado, allow me to invite Mr. Chief Mentor to kindly come and give us our keynote address, leading the opening of the session in relation to what we shall be discussing for this afternoon session. Makofi, our host, tafadhali, as he comes. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. I think today is the most important day, not only for Pwani Innovation Week, but I think for Swahili Pot since its inception. That's around 2016. Because if there is one thing that and maybe before I go to that long story, but I'll make it very short, just within 3 minutes I'll be done. I just want to appreciate our chief guest for this afternoon, the Secretary to the Cabinet of the Republic of Kenya, Madam Mercy Wanjau. And I know one reason why she came all the way from Nairobi. Although she is a tech person, she's in governance, she's a lawyer, she's been the Director General of Communications Authority of Kenya, but she came in mainly because of the mentorship part. And specifically this session where we are launching the mentorship program for Swahili Pot Hub, supported by Hilton Foundation, I think she looked at all those things that we had for the whole week, and she said this is the most important thing. And Madam CS, you are not wrong. We did a survey around 4 years back and asking young people of Mombasa, what is the #1 thing that you need? And it was not money, it was not job, it was not education. They said mentorship, because we need to guide our young people. And I wanted to use examples here, like the two ladies who are here. I was happy to see you in Form 2 being guided through the programs that we initiated with even Tech Kids Africa. Pwani Techno Girls is a good example. Most of the young students that they took from high school are the ones who are actually running and doing a lot of things that we are doing today. In the panel here, we were bragging with the first panel, even the second panel, but the first panel, because it had some seniors as well, Jen Kinyanjui, who is a cybersecurity at Communications Authority, was mentored by Madam Mercy here. And the other three, led by Husnia, who is an engineer at African Union. Husnia, I hope people remember you. You can wave or stand. Yeah. So there was Husnia, Ajra has rushed out, and Ruth. The three of them, I saw them from university. Actually, I started interacting with you guys probably when you were in your second year. And all the three actually passed through being my assistants, supporting me. But now I look at them up there and I'm always proud. So I think that is all that young people want. We need, and I ask everybody who's been walking into Swahili Pot, from cabinet secretaries to CEOs, I ask them, can you pick one person and you guide them, and it will make a huge difference. So around 2017, we wanted to create the Mentor 001 platform, because people were calling me Mentor 001, but I told them, I don't want to own that name. I want every number of months or years, we have thousands of Mentor 001s. And nowadays, when I look back, including Malenga, who was here, he was our first keynote in this year. He came here fresh from high school. Malenga alikuwa mdogo. Huyo hapa. Alikuwa mdogo mwembamba. I wish I could show some of the photos of you. But now he was actually our first keynote. He did the first keynote address during Pwani Innovation Week. He's the president of the Global Opportunity Youth Network. He's hosting young people from around 8 countries in November. So watu wamepanda. Na kwa vijana wa Mombasa, na hii mwisho nitamalizia, unajua wameni surprise. I'm the chairman of the BOM ya Mekatilili Girls. It's a very new school. We only have Form 1s. Hata mimi sikujua, nafikiri kina Jackie and the head teacher walisema wachague around 20 wawalete. And inshallah, I hope ni wale wanapenda technology, and my hope is to make Mekatilili Girls a model schools kwa issues za technology. Yeah. So I think today is a culmination of that journey of having a lot of Mentor 001s. And amongst us here, we will start with around 150 mentors. In the American language, we call them case managers. So we will go with them for 1 year. And our intention is we will increase the mentors, because the 150, we will be facilitating them. But my intention is to grow another 150 professionals like Ben, who is here in Mombasa, in charge of Communications Authority, so that in total we have even over 300 mentors. Our target is to have 20,000 young people in the greater Mombasa, which goes from Kilifi, Kwale, and Mombasa, each one of them to have a mentor. And lastly, when you talk about mentorship, there is academic, but we also need to guide our young people on life skills, on values. Because if you ask me to choose between 2 people, one who has a PhD and the other one who has value, I will pick the one who has value. Hata kama alifika standard 3. And I will work with him, and I know he will do a lot of good things. So today, before I allow, if one of our sponsors, actually our key sponsor for that is Hilton Foundation. I requested Elizabeth to record a message for us, because I didn't want to wake her very early. She's actually in Mexico City currently. Hilton Foundation is doing projects in Mexico City and Mombasa. So if the video is ready, I will allow us to play it.
Joining you from the Conrad N. Hilton. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Elizabeth, and I'm joining you from the Conrad N. Hilton Foundation. I want to thank Swahili Pot Hub Foundation, the organizers of Pwani Innovation Week, and especially the young people. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Elizabeth, and I'm joining you from the Conrad N. Hilton Foundation. I want to thank Swahili Pot Hub Foundation, the organizers of Pwani Innovation Week, and especially the young people who have organized and made this event possible. I know this is the biggest event of the year, and everyone is there, from entrepreneurs to the private sector to the government, and all of you. And I have a serious case of envy, and I wish I was there celebrating with all of you. Mahmoud, when he reached out to request that I speak, asked if I would speak to the work Mombasa is doing to build out strong mentorship and case management for the young people living in the greater Mombasa region. Before I do that, I hope you don't mind me speaking a bit about who we are and why we believe Mombasa is so special. The Conrad N. Hilton Foundation believes that people all over the world have the right to live and thrive in dignity. When young people thrive and can reach the full power of their talents and abilities, we know that they not only uplift themselves, but their families and communities alongside them. Our initiative is working alongside young people and trusted partners to transform inequitable systems into systems that value care and dignity, centering the experiences of youth and the communities in which they live. Our work focuses on ensuring that young people can attain economic security and financial freedom by supporting them into meaningful jobs and careers. We are a global foundation, and we could have chosen anywhere in the world to work, but we chose Mombasa because we knew that Kenya and Mombasa within it are special. When we started exploring where to work, we saw that this is a place that is already putting in the work to create bright futures for its young people. His Excellency, Governor Abdul Swamad Sharif Nassar, has made clear his passion for supporting young people into finding dignified livelihoods, and his openness to collaboration and innovation has built the strong foundation from which we are working. But really, what drew us to this place is the passion of the young people here, who have shown us time and time again what they can do if given a chance. We know what it takes for young people to succeed, and often what it takes is something as little and as great as a connection to a caring adult. Having a trusted adult and mentor who cares about you and your future, believes in what you can do, and helps you achieve your dreams is a foundational element of ensuring that young people thrive into their own adulthood. So, when we heard that Mombasa wanted to create a case management system that would connect adult mentors to every single youth in the county and beyond, we knew that this was something we needed to support. We're testing this approach in different ways beyond Mombasa, in the other geographies in which we work, in Mexico City, in Los Angeles, and New Orleans. Not only is Mombasa building out this ambitious system of mentorship, but it's complementing that work through the creation of connections and pathways to dignified livelihoods. Its ambitions and work on behalf of youth are showing the world what's possible. But this is not work that can be done alone, and this is where you all come in. Be like mentors Jackie Kiplagat and Esha Mohammed, and join this movement to become a mentor to youth. Work with local organizations to provide jobs and training to young people. Be like County Executive Committee member Ken Ambani, whose department oversees youth, gender, sports, and public service, and who always shows up to promote youth events. Be like Mercy Wanjau, Secretary of the Cabinet for the Republic of Kenya, who cares about youth so much that she has joined us here today. Whether you and your organizations are in academia, the private sector, or are the government, we all have our role to play. All of us, working together, are here creating a better future for Kenya, and I hope that we all celebrate and take joy in the work we do together. Thank you. I'm so honored to have been here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference.
So I'll now take this opportunity to welcome, if I can bring the podium, to welcome our chief guest this afternoon to give us a keynote address on mentorship, which is very dear to her heart, just like a lot of us here. Karibu sana, Madam Secretary.
Like the moon and the sun, she is worth more than gold. Like the stars in the sky, she is worth more than diamond. She is worth more than silver. Special kind of woman.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. You know, I'm so delighted to be here because this is my third time back here. Once in 2019, then a few weeks ago, I was here and I come a third time. Chief Mentor 001, I hear that's the title. Really appreciated that the door is always open to come back here and share with you. And today is even a bit more special because we have representation from our neighbors, Tanzania, we have Ethiopia, Zanzibar, as we gather here in this beautiful city of Mombasa. You see how special that is? So just being part of you, I truly feel that it's coming back and coming back home, beginning to see familiar faces and to make friends. I really, really am very grateful. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Sailing beyond borders, empowering youth in the digital economy for a sustainable future is the theme of this year's Pwani Innovation Week. I am delighted that this afternoon I get to speak to you on a topic that is not only very close to my heart, but one that is also inextricably linked to this week's theme, the power of mentorship. It is said that a vast majority of human beings only use about 10% of their potential. You and me, we're at about 10%. Imagine for a moment if all the potential that lies within each of us could be fully unleashed and utilized. I think the world would be a better place, and we might not be able to recognize that world, but we need to give it a chance. We need to give it a chance. One of the tried and tested ways to maximize one's potential is through mentorship. And while we talk a lot about mentorship in present times, it actually is a very old practice. Mentorship is part of Kimila in each of our cultures. This used to happen and still does continue to happen in spaces and places. In traditional Kenyan societies, mentorship was an integral part of growing up and becoming a responsible member of the community. Elders played a central role in mentoring the youth. They shared wisdom, moral values, practical skills such as farming, hunting, and craftsmanship. This form of mentorship fostered a strong sense of community and ensured the preservation of cultural heritage. For instance, among the Maasai young warriors, the Morans, they were guided by elder Morans on the art of warfare and cattle herding. But you know, change is the only constant in life. It goes without saying then that mentorship, like everything else, has evolved with the times. Listening to the conversations that happened here this afternoon, I heard a lot of issues and aspects that spoke to me as a person. I'm sure there are aspects that you picked that spoke to you as well. This is such an innovative and wonderful way to evolve mentorship as we carry on. Let's put our hands together for Swahili Pot. Mentorship is a relationship between people where the mentor provides advice and guidance to their mentee to help them grow, to help them learn, and to develop. By this very definition, mentorship is today applicable in a broad range of contexts, hence the growing types of mentorships. I will mention just a few here as we will delve deeper into the subject during the panel discussion. There's peer mentorship. In this type of mentorship, individuals at the same level of experience mentor each other. This is common in education and professional settings, and I'm sure each of us has been subject to those breakouts, discussion groups, tutorial groups, where you sit together, mchambue jambo, sindio? And then you make a presentation or something. Then there's reverse mentorship. In reverse mentorship, a younger person or a less experienced individual mentors an older one or a more experienced person. So someone like me is truly a candidate for reverse mentorship, even as I am a mentor. And this is very common in the technology space, where young generations actually do have the expertise that the older generation lack. In my particular case, my children and the younger people around me are actually the ones who help me to explore the functionalities of my devices beyond voice and WhatsApp, because this is what they do. And I think this is the experience for many people in my generation and in my age space. And this continues to happen, and the younger people should take it up, especially in the tech space. Then there's group mentorship. It involves one or more mentors working with a group of mentees simultaneously. It can be effective for skill development, networking, and sharing experiences. And actually today is an example of this kind of group mentorship and the conversations that have been happening here. So based on this type of mentorships, it is evident that this is not just about sharing knowledge. It's about sparking and igniting possibility, turning dreams into reality, enabling individuals to navigate the vast sea towards a sustainable future. I liked the last but one panel when she said that something that you would learn over 5 years on your own, hitting the bumps, making mistakes, and it gets so costly. If you have a mentor, you can do it in 2 years. I picked that from you. How wonderful is that? We do not have a lot of time, and we do not want to keep reinventing the wheels. Get yourself a mentor to help you catalyze and move faster on the issue that you're working on. Mentorship is a secret ingredient that propels us towards success, a force that transcends beyond boundaries, and a gift that keeps on giving. I'm therefore so delighted today that coming here, I see that it has now gone beyond borders to Tanzania, to Ethiopia, and I'm sure it will continue to even grow further. Mentorship is not merely a relationship. It's a powerful alliance that can change lives, industries. It can change the world. The Swahili Hub Foundation, the host of the Pwani Innovation Week, knows and appreciates the transformative power of mentorship. Their dedication in empowering the youth resonates with the idea that one person's wisdom, experience, and belief can change lives. Through mentorship, they've nurtured a culture of innovation, inclusivity, and self-reliance, propelling young individuals towards a bright future. I am delighted because the mentor did mention that he will be taking 150 or 100 mentors from this. And this is a movement that will continue to grow, that each of us can take back this concept, this movement, and the beauty and the value that comes from it, from where we come from, to begin to grow it. So I would like to volunteer myself, mentor, to be part of that, so that we can begin to propel the value of mentorship from Swahili Pot to the rest of Kenya, from Swahili Pot to the rest of Africa, and from Swahili Pot to the rest of the world. Well done. Now, I'd like to take you to an incredible story from one of our very own that showcases the boundless potential of mentorship. Dr. Tegla Lorupe. You know her? So Tegla Lorupe was one of the best marathon runners in the world for many years. In 1994, she became the first African woman to win the New York City Marathon. She has won many other marathons after that. But at some point, like anything, retirement comes. But did you know that the most remarkable work that is associated with Tegla Lorupe is associated with her after she retired from athletics? She went back home to West Pokot, and she started off Dr. Tegla Lorupe's peace initiatives. Dr. Lorupe is a symbol of strength and peace in West Pokot County. She has empowered many young leaders through mentorship. Her outreach in the spirit of mentorship has sown the seeds of peace in a county that we all know suffers from dire impact of cattle rustling communities. Since the founding of her initiative in 2003, thousands of athletes have trained and competed in the peace races that are held in conflict areas in Kenya and Uganda. This legend from West Pokot is actualizing the word of the Chinese proverb, if you want a harvest in 1 year, grow a crop. But if you want a harvest in 10 years, grow trees. If you want a harvest that will last a lifetime, grow people. This story excites and inspires me. It unveils the magic of mentorship, where one life inspires another, where wisdom nurtures innovation, and where belief propels us to surpass our limits. Let us remember that mentorship is a two-way journey. Seek mentors who can guide you and be the guiding light for others. Let us also harness the digital tools at our disposal, such as LinkedIn, to extend the reach of mentorship to connect hearts, minds, and dreams across borders. In closing, I leave you with a quote from Maya Angelou. In order to be a mentor and an effective one must care. You must care. Let's care deeply about the youth, about their dreams, about their boundless potential of mentorship in the digital age. My hope and prayer is that may this Pwani Innovation Week inspire us all to set sail, to empower, and to believe in the unstoppable power of mentorship. Today, we will sail beyond borders, lighting the way for a sustainable future powered by dreams and innovation. Together, I truly believe we can achieve greatness. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's kindly appreciate her once again. I believe the first time Miss Mercy Wanjau was here was a few months ago, it should be about 1 month ago, when she was here equally to share on the topic of mentorship. And while she was here, she was able to share quite a lot of inspirational words of wisdom with those who are here today. And we are extremely glad that she once again found time to come and share her expertise on the aspect of mentorship. And I believe we all look forward to benefiting from this act of mentorship. Now, next, I shall move on to invite our plenary session, our next plenary session, that shall be on the topic of the transformative power of mentorship under our theme of sailing beyond borders. In line with the same, I shall move on to invite our first panelist. Our first panelist is none other than the project associate of Swahili Port Hub, as well as a Global Opportunity Youth Network, and that's the one and only Jacqueline Jepkoech Kiplagat. Makofi ya Jackie tafadhali as she comes towards the stage.
Oh, na, na, na. My name is Better. Bless that African woman. Rich skin tone, my woman. True African proud woman. Rise up, African woman.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Next, I shall move on to invite one man that we've been able to interact with in the course of these sessions that have been happening. And one aspect that he mostly focuses on is the aspect of business. I believe I've encountered a few people who have mentioned that they have really been inspired and challenged on matters economics, as well as financial planning generally in the life of a young person. And that's none other than Mr. Kaye Matereke, who is the senior partner at Tactive Consulting. Makofi ya Mr. Kaye tafadhali.
Usipime mwanaume. Uye, jameni. Here we go again. Usipime mwanaume.
DJ, thank you for that song, Usipime Mwanaume. I think maybe you chose it in line with his physique. Clearly, hatutampima. Next, we shall move on to invite the CEO of Pwani Youth Network, Global Opportunity Youth Network, and that's none other than Mr. Alfred Sigo. Makofi ya Mr. Alfred as he comes, tafadhali.
Oh yeah. Man. Usipime mwanaume. Oh yeah, jameni. Here we go again. Usipime mwanaume. Here we go again. Oh yeah, jameni. She say she don't want no problem. She had my last song, that was a ringtone. Now me sit again in the church. Before you talk, just give me a reason. Yeah. So tell me what a man got to do to be next to you. Yeah. Oh, tell me what a man got to do to hold on to you. Yeah. Stuck you when they watch our send me. Nakufana wewe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alfred. I think we'll also appreciate the fact that he's wearing a very, very colorful shirt. And I'm not sure if he had coordinated. I'm saying there's also a group that is also wearing green. So probably he made sure that if you don't clap for him, he will have his own group of people who will be ready to clap in accordance with each point that he speaks. So makofi ya Alfred Sigo tafadhali. It's also a very good thing that men are now embracing vitenge. I think mostly they had run away from Vitenge because it's associated with couples and most men run away from it. So probably his wife is informing you in advance that the other part is somewhere at home, so don't ask for his contact after this. Next, we shall be having one panelist who shall be joining us virtually, and that's none other than Dr. Ruth Masha Dama. Dr. Ruth is the CECM, County Executive Cabinet Member of Kilifi County, in charge of youth and gender. Also, we shall be having in this panel Mr. Ken Mwenda, who is the Managing Director of eMobilis. Makofi, Mr. Ken, tafadhali. Thank you very much, Mr. Ken. And now we shall move on to announce our next panelist, who has brought himself before I announced him. And that's none other than Mr. Kenneth Ambani. Mr. Kenneth Ambani. Pwani Melipo. Say also say his title first. Okay. Mr. Kenneth Ambani is the CECM, Department of Public Service Administration, Youth, Gender, Social Services and Sports, Mombasa County. I think you guys usually refer to him as the most stylish cabinet member, if I'm not wrong. Baby, should live your life. So I think for us, the young ones, let's make sure we hit the gym. The PSCC, when we're his age, we are able to be called stylish. And last but not least, I'd invite James. James, please just come here. Yeah. James shall welcome our moderator for this particular session. For reasons best known to me, I shall not be sharing with you. And our moderator for this particular session is Miss Sophia Wabosha, who runs the Give for Good Global Opportunity Youth Network. Makofia, Mr. and Miss, sorry, Makofia, Sophia. In the record. Thank you very much, James, for your good acts of service. Again, he was just being a gentleman, nothing more. And I think you can see he's also not in a kitenge, so no hints, Sophia. At this point, allow me to hand over the microphone back to Sophia, who shall take us through this session. Once again, I remind you that we'll be having one panelist joining us virtually. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki.
Thank you so much. Before I begin, we had one more panelist, that is Miss Mercy Wanjau. Please, if you can join us. I believe we are set. So, ladies and gentlemen, and our esteemed panelists and distinguished guests, good evening. Thank you so much for all of you for setting in time to come into this important session, as we are going to discuss on the guiding the future, the transformative power of mentorship. We are going to have it as an interactive session. So since we are an IT department and an IT port, I'll ask each and every one of you, how many of you have smartphones? How many? Very good. So we are going to have an interactive session online. If we can have the projection of the logins. We have internet that is Liquid. Kindly log into Liquid, and the password is Liquid. Swahili Port Internet, the password is Liquid. And then we are going to log into mentimeter.com. I hope well understood. Kindly project that, IT team. Thank you so much. So as we delve in this topic today, I'm very honored to be part of this team. My name is Sophia Wabosha from Give for Good organization and part of the Global Youth Network Hub. We are going to delve into the role of mentorship across various sectors, from academia and business to youth empowerment and government policies. We'll explore the stories of our panelists who have been both mentors and mentees, and we are going to learn from them. As we begin this session, a question that should linger in our mind is, can mentorship bridge the gap between what is and what could be? So as we begin, please have that at the back of your minds. So without much further ado, I'll introduce my well-informed team, panelists, into this enlightening journey as they share their insights freely and our audience to engage actively. So as we, the IT team, I see it's all up. We have, you can log in into menti.com and use that code. Then our question is, what is mentorship? So please kindly log in into that and answer the question. Welcome, Mrs. Mercy Wanjau, the Secretary to the Cabinet. Welcome, Mr. Ken Ambani, CEM. Welcome, Mr. Ken from eMobilis. Welcome, Mr. Alfred. And welcome, Mr. Kaye Matereke, as a senior partner of Tactive. And welcome, Madam Jacqueline. So I'll just pass over the microphone as they're going to introduce themselves further. They have big bios imeshiba vizuri. Si mnaelewa? Yes, I'm going to pass over the microphone to Ms. Mercy.
Thank you very much, Moderator. My name is Mercy Wanjau, Secretary to Cabinet. I'm a lawyer by profession, but I spent the large part of my professional life in technology as a regulator. So I don't know what that makes me, but it brings me to an intersection of law, technology, and business. Are we just supposed to introduce ourselves? That's it. I think for the rest, I have a very basic website online. You can get further details there. mercywanjau.com. Thank you.
Good evening. Or is it afternoon? Good evening. My name is Ken Ambani. I am the CECM Public Service Administration, Youth, Gender, Sports, and Social Services. I deal a lot with the youth, hence the mentorship initiatives that I've been involved in right here in Mombasa. Been in your screens for slightly over 30 years as an actor. Progressed to production, producer, director, and all that, film and television. And yeah, I love what I'm doing. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ken Mwenda. I hope that the stylishness will rub off as it's coming towards this direction, is certainly the hope. It's a pleasure to be here, and particularly among such a distinguished panel. I'm the co-founder and managing director of eMobilis. We're a technology training institution and innovation hub based in Nairobi. We've been privileged to be delivering a couple of government programs over the past couple of years. Personally, I studied here locally. I lived in Canada for about 16 years. I worked in banking. And for the last 12 years, I've been working in the skilling and technology space. So great to be here. Thank you.
Vijana mambo. Okay, my name is Alfred Sigo. I'm the CEO and the founder of a youth network called Pwani Youth Network. We have our presence in 4 coastal counties, that is Mombasa, Kilifi, Kwale, and Lamu. And our work is mostly with the youth, children, and women. We work with the youth, children, and women in 4 main pathways, that is health, education, livelihood, and lastly, issues around climate change. Thank you, and looking forward to having this conversation.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Kaye Matereke. I am a senior partner at Tactive. Tactive is a management consulting company. We focus on really change management. We support high growth business models. So if you've heard of the Wowsies, the Tweevers, around change management, we also work with corporates. We've done some work with Rubis, Old Mutual, East Africa. We also work with apex bodies, really thinking about shifts in the digital landscape, largely from a commercial perspective. So we worked with KEPSA, the Ajira program, and quite a number of development partners. I'm from Zimbabwe. So I think the one thing that I identify with is coming from a place where you have less opportunity because the economy is not supportive. So I know what it's like not to have a job. I know what it's like not to have the right skills. I know what it's like not to be connected and still be able to work your way out through mentorship. And I'll talk about that a little bit. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline, Jepkoech Kiplagat. I work as the project associate at Swahili Pot Hub Foundation in the mentorship project that we are about to launch today. I've been a mentor before, I've been a mentee as well. Gone through the hands of Mr. Mahmoud Noor. I've been an intern at CECM before. I have worked, so I'm a techie by profession, but I'm now moving towards the social impact section of life, and I'm really loving it. I'm 6 months old here at Swahili Pot Hub, but I'm loving it so far. The whole concept of really ensuring that we transform the youth is something that I would really love to see it being sort of like really have the other counties really ensure that we have that in the rest, because whatever is happening in Mombasa County is something that is very phenomenal for me because I come from a different county, and so this is really something that we need to ensure that we have the rest of the country have in their fingertips. Thank you.
A hand of applause for my panelists. Thank you so much. So as we began earlier, we had requested the audience to tell us what they understand by mentorship, because that's what we're going to discuss. And before we unpack it, let's get our feedback. But I'm told we have one panelist joining us online, Dr. Ruth Masha. We can have her introduce herself, and then we can continue into unpacking mentorship.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Dr. Ruth Dama Masha. I'm the current County Executive Committee member, the County Government of Kilifi, serving the docket of gender, youth, sports, culture, social services, special programs, and disaster management. I'm happy to be here today. Thank you. Need I say more?
Welcome, Dr. Ruth Masha. I see you are entering in style.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm also informed that we can't see you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I have to use the phone because I'm not at home. I don't have my gadget. I don't know. Maybe I will be just able to type in if you don't mind.
That's okay. Proceed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to move on to our Mentimeter. We've had our panelists introduce themselves. Kindly take... We had posed the question, what is mentorship? And we are seeing there is leadership, there is guidance, there is coaching, there is apprenticeship, there is inspire, there is problem solution. To my panelists, I'll start with Ms. Mercy Wanjau. You have given us a very good keynote speech, and you have been experienced in this field for quite a while. Let's define mentorship. What does mentorship mean to you, and why is it important to the world today? And we've seen that from our audience, leadership, guidance, coaching, that is what is coming up. What is mentorship?
Thank you very much. Mentorship is a cornerstone experience. No one can make it alone. So mentorship is having somebody walk alongside you, guide you, coach you, prod you, and challenge you that you're able to achieve your highest experience. If I could share a practical mentorship experience from a professional perspective, as a lawyer in Kenya, You're expected after finishing your university studies to go through pupillage. And what that means is that you go and sit at the feet of a lawyer who is senior to you, to learn, to teach, to gain insights, life skills, as well as professional skills. And when I did have my experience with my pupil master, who subsequently became a judge and now is retired, I recall numerous conversations along professional lines, cases, litigation, arbitration, supporting the preparation of these matters, and having a chance to ask questions. But I also do remember a lot of other conversations, because it was a group of about 4 of us at that time, conversations about life, about social aspects, about how you want to progress your career, about how to manage your finances and resources. And I want to truly believe that what I have become today is largely because of those foundational blocks that were laid.
Thank you so much. We also have a young person in this panel, Jackie. You can tell us what is mentorship, and maybe you can share a personal story what is mentorship.
So I'll agree with what Madam Mercy has mentioned. Mentorship is all about guidance. You seeking guidance from someone who has walked that path before you. So if you, for example, at Kaye, you get someone who has been in the field for several years, who has understood what exactly the field is all about, and they're able to hold your hand and guide you through that process. So it's not necessarily all about your career, could also be about your life skills, soft skills, empowering you as well. Because for now, one of the major things that our mentor keeps talking about is our institutions sort of have become like a conveyor belt. So we have a lot of people going through the institutions, but when they're coming out, they come out and they're stuck. Then they do not have jobs and they begin to struggle. But if we are to have, the young people are to have someone to hold their hand through, considering what we know now, you could have people who walk you through that process and enlighten you before. Because for me also mentorship is all about transforming the mindsets of the young people. So we now go beyond just telling them this is the career you need to pursue, but ensuring that they understand why, the importance of that, and now tackling the whole aspect of transforming their mindset. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I will go to Mr. Kaye. You mentioned that mentorship is a topic that is dear to your heart. But what is mentorship? What does it mean?
Great. I think from my perspective, I'd frame it slightly differently. I think mentorship is a partnership. On one part, you have a stakeholder who has knowledge and experience, and they want to give it to the second party. And the second party is a person who identifies with the fact that they have inadequacies. They have to develop, and they're willing to apply themselves. Mentorship as a construct has to be a partnership. For great value to be created, everyone has to be committed to a process where we all give ourselves to something and then measure those outcomes. And I think in my own personal experience, the people that have supported me as an individual saw my potential, but they also asked that I was committed, that I was dedicated, I was willing to do the hard work to justify the time they would invest. And that balance in partnership actually creates some phenomenal results.
Thank you so much. Waziri, Mr. Ken Ambani, you have been in this space for quite a while. You have been a leader for the youth, and I can call you a mentor. But what is mentorship?
I think it's been well articulated by the speakers here. When you listen to the specific words they were using, partnership and all the other words, I would sum it up this way and make it very easy for everyone to understand. The first ever mentor to ever exist was God. Biblically, we are told God created Adam and Eve, and he basically had a purpose for doing this, structured their lives, and then this mentorship was actually brought down to them. Now they became mentors of the world, who were supposed basically to take care of stuff the way God wanted it to be, in a structured manner. And the only problem now came in when they got to meet the tree of knowledge within the Garden of Eden. The people who come to us, or the people that we serve, I would speak as a government official, the people that we serve are actually looking up to us. I'll speak about the youth. The youth are actually looking up to us. I'll speak about our children. Our children are actually looking up to us. I'll speak about the congregation in churches. They're actually looking up to the priests and the pastors and the cadis and everybody else. And the journey that they take based on the experience that we have as the leaders within these jurisdictions will determine the direction, the mentees that we are actually leading or guiding tend to become later in life. So a mentor is, or rather mentorship is one, I usually mention this to parents, that it is sacred. You did not become a parent by accident. You become a parent on purpose. And the reason as to why God did that was because whatever God wanted to pass on to these human beings down here, he gave you the power to actually do that, mentor these people to be the best they can be in life. And this we have inculcated in our professional areas, careers, and every other place where those who come and find the leadership in us, we are actually charged with the responsibility of ensuring that they become better workers, better personalities in life, and have life skills that would actually catapult them to the next level of their lives.
Thank you. I believe that is well put. From the audience responses and what you've gotten from our panelists, we've now gotten to understand what is mentorship. Alfred, Mr. Alfred, you are the CEO of Pwani Youth Network. You've dealt with a number of youths. How does mentorship play a role in youth empowerment and community development? And can you share a success story from your organization?
Well, I think, first of all, I think I agree with my colleagues who have just shared the definition and what they understand about mentorship. But I'll actually say that for us as an institution, mentorship, one, is holistic. There's no single formula for mentorship, whereby you can say that this is the formula to do mentorship to all these young people, because the youth are also dynamic, and hence, each single person doing mentorship has to handle them differently. The other thing I think also it's cross-cutting in terms of most of the time a young person coming from Likoni and a young person coming from Bangladesh are dynamic in their own ways. And that calls for us to have different methodologies for us to do mentorship to them. And I think my colleagues have alluded that it's important for us to do mentorship as a mentor, and then there is a mentee. But also, how you mentor a young person probably from one sub-county in Mombasa is not how you probably may be able to mentor another young person from another sub-county. And why am I saying this? All these are influenced with the culture, the places they grow up in, and how they look at things. And hence, it's important for us to know how we do it in different circumstances. Then the other thing I think also, mentorship calls for innovation, whereby the mentor is giving out the knowledge, but is also allowing the mentee to innovate as they move forward, to co-create with them different solutions so that they can be able not to achieve the exact thing that the mentor wants the mentee to achieve, but to even go beyond what the expectation the mentor wants to see. So I'll say that as an institution, we have different methodologies for our mentorship program. And one of them is beginning at the school level, whereby we have a school mentorship program, both in primary and secondary. And within that, we are creating, we are using the methodology of life skills to mentor these young people towards self-realization so that they can be able to be co-creators of solutions. We are told that most of the time when we grow up, we may be having the knowledge in school, but we lack the day-to-day knowledge. And hence, life skills for us is one of the ways we use to mentor young people in schools. But again, we also have another mentorship program for out-of-school youth. And in this, we've integrated both life skills and the use of sports and art to build on leadership skills in these youths, to build on how they can communicate better with other youths. And all this is because we believe at the areas where we work in, most of these young people have grown up not seeing persons who can guide them towards the right direction, or them not having the right leaders in their homes. So for us as an institution, we have trained young people who act as mentors for both the youth in school and out of school. And one of the powerful tools that we've been able to use is the power of sports and the power of art. And in this, we say that we don't do sports for competitive sports, but for us it's sports towards development. And why are we calling it sports for development? Because it is an integration of both the sporting skills, but also the day-to-day life skills on how they can talk to people, how they can communicate to people, and how they can also tap into the different opportunities that exist. So as an institution, for the last 7 years or so that we've been in existence, we've been able to do not only a single mentorship to an individual, but we've also done group mentorship, whereby as it stands today, we have not only individuals who have been mentored through our programs, but we also have community groups that have grown from community youth groups to CBOs. We've also seen youths who are not able to articulate themselves, being able to articulate themselves and tapping into job market and getting jobs through our mentorship program. So I'll say that, yes, mentorship is important, but it should be holistic for us to get it right, because the youths are also dynamic in their own ways. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was quite comprehensive. We'll go to Mr. Ken. Alfred has spoken about success and how the numbers, how the method that they use. In your opinion, how do we measure success? What's the impact of mentorship?
Okay, thank you for that question. I hope I'm audible. Let me start by saying in all our work as eMobilis over the past 12 years, as well as in the Nigeria Digital Program, which we're helping to implement for the government of Kenya through the Ministry of ICT, we've entrenched mentorship because not only is it a game changer, but just the recognition that it can drive innovation, create a vibrant ecosystem for startups, but as well, when you look at, even just when I look across this room, Africa's median age is about 19, right? In Kenya, we have about 40% unemployment. We have about 850 to 970 people, young people, who enter the labor market every year and who need jobs, who need a means to a livelihood. So mentorship affords a very powerful tool to allow the transfer of knowledge, of life skills, of opportunities, and for young people just to understand how they can progress themselves, both personally and professionally. I've mentored through the Presidential Digital Talent Program about 4 or 5 young people over the years. That's one of the programs that we're involved in as well, and it's a Government of Kenya program through the Office of the President. And the value of that has been that there are certifications by companies like Oracle and Microsoft and Google, but in addition, companies have an opportunity to have their staff act as mentors in that program. What I found was transformational and useful in that was the idea that knowledge is being passed on, that these young people are committed, hungry for knowledge, and are actually interested in progressing themselves if given the right platform. So when I look at the Nigeria Digital Program as an example, there are 3 ways in which we're doing mentorship. The first one, we have 101 centers across the country, Nigeria Youth Empowerment Centers, that we're operationalizing for the government. So any young person from across the country can come in, access training, mentorship, devices, internet connectivity, so that they can start their journey towards online work, becoming a freelancer, whether that's a transcriber, a virtual assistant, a digital marketer, because those opportunities are needed because of the dire statistics I mentioned. And so a center manager acts as that front line of being able to guide and handhold a young person who walks in, because the reality is, even if we have incredible universities in this country, we have incredible TVETs, but there's still something missing. And so this becomes a quiver, an arrow in the quiver of tools that are possible to transform young people, whether it's after training and then mentorship, apprenticeship, coaching, and hopefully the building of a portfolio. So just to expose young people.
Thank you so much. This question, I believe Dr. Ruth is still online. Is Dr. Ruth still online?
Yes, I'm online.
All right, thank you. Since you hold a position in the government,
yes.
You oversee departments related to youth and social services. How is the government supporting mentorship programs, and what policies are in place to facilitate mentorship opportunities for the young people?
Okay, for me, I will say mentorship. First, if I define the word mentorship, I will say it's holistic, as one of us said, as one of the panelists said. For me, it means nurturing, inspiring, after identifying the potential in someone. Sometimes these youth do not even know that they have a specific talent. So as a mentor, once you realize or are able to identify what that youth is able to do, our path is now to nurture the talent and inspire and boost through transfer of knowledge, skills, insights, opportunities. So from where I sit, there are 4 types of youth. There's a disgruntled youth, there's a dreamer, there's a disillusioned youth, and there are also the ones that are doers. So once you're able to classify, and you realize that the percentage of the economy right now is driven by the youth, because they make up about 75% of the total population that we have in Kenya. So where I sit, I've been able to, or what we are trying to do as a department, we are trying to identify all these talents in different platforms. So we're trying to look for youth champions in sports, youth champions in culture, youth champions in entrepreneurship, youth champions in other socials, because there's some that, you see, you already have 2 types of youth, the skilled and unskilled. We have 2 types of youth. They have the formal education and the non-formal education, those who did not receive formal education. So for those that have not received formal education, we have the VTCs. We're able to identify what gaps need to be filled, so that as they join these platforms, the TVETs, they're able, already empowered. So offering scholarships for those that come from maybe privileged communities, we're able to assist them. We also have this Wezesha Fund that we've also asked the government, His Excellency the Governor, to allow these youth to be able to get those loans, the Wezesha funds, whereby we're able to do even 50% if they have a business, maybe that maybe might cost about 100,000. Can we assist that youth to get 50%? We are also trying to put them in the tendering process. We say, out of this budget, let's give about 5% to the youth to make sure they grow a certain business. So we have tried to put youth in groups. We've encouraged them to form CBOs and even given them trainings. We've done capacity building at the ward level, because we realize that if you start from the grassroots level, we're able to see and get a lot of potential. So those are some of the insights. We also have youth champions in blue economy, youth champions in environment. So once we cluster them, because I believe if you have a structure of how you can guide this youth, you're going to achieve more. The other issue that we've been able to identify with this youth, we realize that the youth in sports are more organized because of the teamwork. Remember, you cannot achieve everything alone. So if you're able to have a teamwork kind of structure, whereby everyone is able to see that they cannot work this thing alone, they're like, my brother, hold my hand, let's go for this way, such like things. So we are trying to teach them how to be a brother's keeper, how to be a sister's keeper, and also having many, many intergenerational dialogues. Remember, Kilifi is the home of, like 3 years ago, we had so many elderly who were maimed by the youths. It's because they're disgruntled. They felt like they're not being listened to. So now we're having programs that we have the youth talk to the elderly, and the elderly are able to integrate and understand and articulate the issues that the youths have. So those are some of the projects that we have done as a county government. We've also started the youth internship programs, whereby we're able to pick interns in all departments. We have 10 departments. So we ask the CECs, my colleagues, please mentor these 5, and we're working with the Pwani University. So like in my department this year, we had like 10 interns, and we're able to, I told them I'll be their supervisor. I will give them roles, and every week they'll give me a report of what they've done. So I think once you hold them and you classify them, give them a structure, they're the best people to work with. I think that is all for now, and I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ruth. In regards to the government, I'll go back to Mrs. Mercy. You also hold a high-level government position, and there are so many young people who are looking up to you. So what can you tell an aspiring leader who wants to learn from your experience?
Every time and every season carries its own requirements, and I always have believed that each of us is here because we bring value. We bring value in the spaces that we serve. So if I was to interact with a young person who would like to go into leadership, I would tell them to keep at it, to identify the space in which they want to contribute and serve, identify what the character qualities are, and what their own gifts, talents, and competencies are, and then look for a mentor or a coach so that that gap would be bridged, and also to seek out opportunities where they can be of use and of value. You know, speaking to mentorship as a partnership, even as a mentor pours into you, a young person, the youth, should also identify areas in which they can be of use to that mentor to help and support them, and in that way they also grow their skills and keep looking out for opportunities to test out those abilities. At some point, at some hour, the opportunity will come when they will also take the stage and the world will see them. And the preparation that they have put in will definitely come to light at that point.
Thank you so much. Bwana Waziri, mentorship poses a lot of challenges. You could briefly tell us what are some of these challenges that it comes with mentorship, and how can we solve
it? It's all about one, like Mercy just mentioned, one getting to know what their strengths are. One of the challenges that we've had, and in many programs that we've worked on, and especially even with the partners that we have currently as Mombasa County Government, we have CBOs that we've been working with, Sigo here, and Swahili Port, and so many others. It's always this aspect of a young man getting to know what they really want. Because as a mentor, you cannot go transforming someone probably in an area where they're not passionate about. It starts with self. And then again, building trust between government and other partners sometimes becomes a problem. One, there's always this notion that government is supposed to provide. And in the process, we lose out a lot because probably the resources are not there. Some of the challenges that we've had is most of the proposals that we've had on my desk specifically have always been, we want funding for this, funding for this, funding for this. Whereas if you actually sit with some of this, when in my experience, I've actually sat with several CBOs, and we've gotten to realize that some of the CBOs and the practitioners that are coming in from the community level, that are coming in form of mentorship, mentoring those that are within their areas, has always been, and I'm not saying this is who we are, some of the leadership within those specific spaces are in it for money and not for the service of, because we're talking about the challenges. So dealing with some of these institutions has become a little bit of a problem. And because at the end of the day, the person down there, the last person who's supposed to be mentored or taken care of or served, does not get the service because of the challenges that we have in the middle here. But what we have done, we do our due diligence. We get proposals from CBOs. We do our due diligence, get to know the experience of some of the CBOs, what they have done in the industry, and then even the partners that probably they've had, we get to speak to them, so that even by the time we make the decision that we are interacting with you, we want value for our people. In this case, Mombasa County's youth. So most of those that we have partnership with, we are working in a we have a cordial relationship, relationship of trust, and I believe to date we can actually say confidently that even the programs that we have done, the youth of Mombasa have really gotten value out of this. The last that we just did was the other day we were at the sub-county level. I remember, Sigo, at some point we were in an interview on radio sometime, and he asked me, who authorized you, who gave you the idea that we want, Mombasa International Film Festival? Yes, and he was actually right. He was actually very right. Did we do public participation to actually confirm that this is what our young people want? Because at the end of the day, what are you mentoring? Whom are you mentoring? Are you only going to mentor film practitioners? You know, and I was actually challenged. And this is where now we widened the scope. Trust me, the conversation we had really had an impact in the programs that we're actually working on right now. We came up with Sanaa Mashinani, where we decided, like everyone else is actually saying here, we are all unique in our own ways, and we have different talents, very special to ourselves, and which those specific talents are the best that we can nurture, and like it's always said, at the end of the day, you need to convert this talent to money. So this is the direction we're going right now. We've already done the sub-county level of Sanaa Mashinani. We've done the auditions, and we're going to the county level, where we will identify the talents that will go in to sit and be trained, capacity build, and then, you know, away from now their professions and their specific talents, life skills, and then later on help them, assist them to convert these talents into money. But in essence, just to answer your questions, the challenges are manageable, and as a government, county government of Mombasa, we're actually working closely with our partners to ensure that our young people get value for money.
Thank you so much. From the government, we can now go into the private sector. I'll just jump onto Kaye. As a senior partner at Tactive Consulting, how do mentorship and professional development intersect in the corporate world? And what are some of the best practices in mentorship in this context?
Thank you very much. So I think before we get into the private sector, I think it's important to maybe highlight a key issue. I had highlighted that coming from Zimbabwe, I may not have had as many mentors along the way. Oftentimes they're few and far between, and then there are people who carry you along the way. And over maybe the last decade, my reflections have been, what could I have done more that would have even empowered me further from an individual level before mentorship and support really kicks in. what I realized was most young people, and as a young person, I felt entitled to get help. And if the ratio of mentors is low, then I pass on the burden of my self-development to someone else. And if those people don't exist, then my life goes to waste. And I can show you 10 years of my life where I was waiting for someone to come. When I looked at it even closely, I realized that young people don't value knowledge and skills that come from the place that they come from. We don't see the value in what our parents say, what our siblings say, what our neighbors say. And mentorship is being able to also recognize in its simplicity. It's fortunate to find that there's a distinguished panel and everyone is successful. You may not get the most successful person, but there is someone who is close to you who has knowledge that you do not have. And if you can respect them, then you can learn from them and you begin to move forward. Coming to private sector, when we think about wealth and business is built on knowledge. If your father repaired shoes, for 20 years he learned how to build a business. It wasn't the biggest business, but it was the business that raised you. The tendency as a young person is to leave what has taken 20 years to understand and to start over again. And so when we say mentorship, your job is to say, what can I take from the people around me, and what's the next step? If it was repairing shoes, then you try manufacture. And knowledge about economics is not easy. 90% of all businesses fail. There are very few businesses that get to scale, but it's because we don't preserve knowledge. When we now come into the workplace, the biggest challenge is that young people, and I think for 10 years I was in the same place, right? Is that you think you know better than the ones who are there. And the challenge is that you may have new ideas, you may have new ways of doing things, but a lot of us came from our humble backgrounds, and we came from our own parents who were young at some point, thought they could succeed, and realized life was a bit more complex than they imagined. We have the opportunity to preserve and learn from where other people failed so that we build on that building block. As humble and modest as it is, that's where learning begins to take place. In our context, in terms of private sector, we give opportunities to young people. I have a team of 3 people. I think they're all under 23 or 4. They work with me on businesses that are ranging from R1 billion plus, to the smallest business that's generating a few hundred shillings. My job is to help them learn what I've learned in 17 years in the shortest time possible for their careers to succeed. But the challenge in private sector is when they come in, they see our weaknesses, right? And see what possibly could be improved without understanding the foundation. And I can tell you from an economic standpoint, it takes time to understand insights. And insights are a product of time. And young people need to become humble. They need to become patient. They need to become respectful. If they can hold that tension consistently, then they will get the knowledge that's freely available from those who want to give it. In some cases, from a private sector perspective, it's a competitive environment. Old people don't want to share secrets. They're not always going to support you. What I've learned, at least in my journey, is that you have to role model people around you. Find the people that you see, begin to copy what they do. If they come to work early, come to work early. If they study hard, or if they practice, or if they network with other people, begin to learn by extension first. It's easy to steer a moving ship than the one that is parked. So for young people, forward motion in a commercial environment or in private sector, people want to partner with people who are succeeding, even at their own micro level. And that's what catalyzes the journey of mentorship in the business environment.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that you mentioned that you work with the young people. And as part of mentorship, some of the old people can be very stingy with information and mean. And in this space of young people, we also have Jacqueline, who is a project associate of Swahili Pot Hub and Global Youth Network. Jackie, maybe you can tell us what are some of the mentorship programs and initiatives that you have been involved in, and what outcomes have they been observed? And maybe you can briefly touch on some of the projects that are part of the Swahili Pot Hub and Global Youth Network.
So before I react to that, just to add on to what Kaye was talking about, so I've worked with 2 organizations that have had structured mentorship programs. One is Kamilimu, being led by Dr. Cheung, and Wentas. This is a company in Nigeria, but does mentorship